Amazon EC2 instances to run applications that are dedicated to different departments. The company needs to break out the costs of these applications and allocate them to the relevant department. The EC2 instances run in a single VPC. How can the company achieve these requirements? A. Enable billing access for IAM users and view the costs in Cost Explorer. B. Enable billing alerts through Amazon Cloud Watch and Amazon SNS. C. Create tags by department on the instances and then run a cost allocation report. D. Add additional Amazon PCs and launch each application in a separate VPC. The correct answer is C. Create tags by department on the instances and then run a cost allocation report is the correct answer. Explanation. The company should create cost allocation tags that specify the department and assign them to resources. These tags must be activated so they are visible in the cost allocation report. Once this is done and a monthly cost allocation report has been configured, it will be easy to monitor the costs for each department.
Question 12. An application uses a PostgreSQL database running on a single Amazon EC2 instance. A cloud practitioner has been asked to increase the availability of the database so there is automatic recovery in the case of a failure. Which tasks can the cloud practitioner take to meet this requirement? A. Migrate the database to Amazon RDS and enable the multi-AZ feature. B. Configure an elastic load balancer in front of the EC2 instance. C. Configure EC2 auto recovery to move the instance to another region. D. Set the delete on termination value to false for the EBS root volume. The correct answer is A. Migrate the database to Amazon RDS and enable the multi-AZ feature. Explanation. Moving the database to Amazon RDS means that the database can take advantage of the built-in multi-AZ feature. This feature creates a standby instance in another availability zone and synchronously replicates to it. In the event of a failure that affects the primary database, an automatic failover can occur and the database will become functional on the standby instance.
Question 13. A company is launching a new website which is expected to have highly variable levels of traffic. The website will run on Amazon C2 and must be highly available. What is the most cost-effective approach? A. Use the AWS CLI to launch and terminate Amazon C2 instances to match demand. B. Create an Amazon C2 auto-scaling group and configure an elastic load balancer. C. Determine the highest expected traffic and use an appropriate instance type. D. Launch the website using an Amazon C2 instance running on a dedicated host. The correct answer is B. Create an Amazon C2 autoscaling group and configure an elastic load balancer. Explanation. Moving the database to Amazon RDS means that the database can take advantage of the built-in multi-AZ feature. This feature creates a standby instance in another availability zone and synchronously replicates to it. In the event of a failure that affects the primary database, an automatic failover can occur and the database will become functional on the standby instance.
Question 14. Which of the following statements best describes the concept of agility in relation to cloud computing on AWS? Select 2. A. The speed at which AWS rolls out new features. B. The ability to experiment quickly. C. The elimination of wasted capacity. D. The ability to automatically scale capacity. D. The speed at which AWS resources can be created. The correct answer is B. The ability to experiment quickly, and D. The speed at which AWS resources can be created is also the correct answer. Explanation. In a cloud computing environment, new ID resources are only a click away, which means that you reduce the time to make those resources available to your developers from weeks to just minutes. This results in a dramatic increase in agility for the organization, since the cost and time it takes to experiment and develop is significantly lower.
Question 15. A company runs a batch job on an Amazon EC2 instance and it takes 6 hours to complete. The workload is expected to double in volume each month with a proportional increase in processing time. What is the most efficient cloud architecture to address the growing workload? A. Run the batch job on a larger Amazon EC2 instance type with more CPU. B. Change the Amazon EC2 volume type to a provisioned IOPS SSD volume. C. Run the application on a bare metal Amazon EC2 instance. D. Run the batch workload in parallel across multiple Amazon EC2 instances. The correct answer is D. Run the batch workload in parallel across multiple Amazon EC2 instances. Explanation. The most efficient option is to use multiple EC2 instances and distribute the workload across them. This is an example of horizontal scaling and will allow the workload to keep growing in size without any issue and without increasing the overall processing time frame.
Question 16. An individual IAM user must be granted access to an Amazon S3 bucket using a bucket policy. Which element in the S3 bucket policy should be updated to define the user account for which access will be granted? A. Action. B. Principal. C. Resource. D. Condition. The correct answer is B. Principal. Explanation. The principal element specifies the user, account, service, or other entity that is allowed or denied access to a resource. The bucket policy below has a principal element set to asterisk, which is a wildcard meaning any user. To grant access to a specific IAM user, the following format can be used. Principal.
Question 17. A cloud practitioner needs a tool that can assist with viewing and managing AWS costs and usage over time. Which tool should the cloud practitioner use? A. AWS Budgets. B. Amazon Inspector. C. AWS Organizations. D. AWS Cost Explorer. The correct answer is D. AWS Cost Explorer. Explanation. AWS Cost Explorer has an easy-to-use interface that lets you visualize, understand, and manage your AWS costs and usage over time. AWS Cost Explorer provides you with a set of default reports that you can use as the starting place for your analysis. From there, use the filtering and grouping capabilities to dive deeper into your cost and usage data and generate custom insights.
Question 18. A company plans to deploy a relational database on AWS. The IT department will perform database administration. Which service should the company use? A. Amazon EC2. B. Amazon Redshift. C. Amazon Elasticache. D. Amazon DynamoDB. The correct answer is A. Amazon EC2. Explanation. A self-managed relational database can be installed on Amazon EC2. When using this deployment, you can choose the operating system and instance type that suits your needs and then install and manage any database software you require.
Question 19. A company is planning to move a number of legacy applications to the AWS Cloud. The solution must be cost-effective. Which approach should the company take? A. Migrate the applications to dedicated host on Amazon C2. B. Rehost the applications on Amazon C2 instances that are right-sized. C. Use AWS Lambda to host the legacy applications in the cloud. D. Use an Amazon S3 static website to host the legacy application code. The correct answer is B. Rehost the applications on Amazon C2 instances that are right-sized. Explanation. The most cost-effective solution that works is to use Amazon C2 instances that are right-sized with the most optimum instance types. Right-sizing is the process of ensuring that the instance type selected for each application provides the right amount of resources for the application.
Question 20. A company must provide access to AWS resources for their employees. Which security practices should they follow? Select 2. A. Enable multi-factor authentication for users. B. Create IAM policies based on least privilege principles. C. Disable password policies and management console access. D. Create IAM users in different AWS regions. E. Create IAM roles and apply them to IAM groups. The correct answer is A. Enable multi-factor authentication for users and B. Create IAM policies based on least privilege principles is also a correct answer. Explanation. There are several security best practices for AWS IAM that are listed in the document shared below. Enabling multi-factor authentication is a best practice to require a second factor of authentication when logging in. Another best practice is to grant least privilege access when configuring users and password policies.